Welcome back to She Can, where women lead by example. We interview women and girls from all over the world and all walks of life to tell their stories, to hear their insights and experiences, to guide and support others, because it's easier to be what you can see. And I'm very excited to talk to Leanne Lui today. Leanne, welcome to She Can. You're a grade 11 student from Vancouver, an aspiring politician and diplomat with a passion for debating and international relations and social science research, as well as being a passionate advocate for human rights and women's issues. You engage with politicians, providing youth perspectives on key issues. You've also built an online community of over 14,000 people who challenge and educate one another on political and social issues. You write on Substack, and your view as a young woman in politics, you foster discussions, you shape opinions, and you drive meaningful change. Leanne, which is incredible. So tell us a little bit more about your journey and how you realized, or when you realized, what matters to you and how you want to matter in the world.
Yeah, so from a very young age, I had a very clear mindset of what I wanted to do in life. And it started with reading a book called Uprising by Sally Armstrong in fourth grade. And it was a very monumental moment in my life. And the book largely discussed how women in the Middle East were treated, how women's lives were being changed in the turning point of the 21st century. And it was probably a book a little too mature for a 9-year-old, but I read it and that really shaped what I want to do in the future. And it's been the same since that point. And I find it so important that, women's voices are being heard within politics, within writing, within every industry that there can be. And that's what I'm fighting for.
Leanne, so tell us how you marry your life as a student with everything that comprises, and also all your work outside of school, all your campaigning, and you work with politicians and you make sure that your voice is out there representing people of your generation.
Yeah, I think the things that I do outside of school, including, campaigning, my experience in politics, is all really intertwined with going to school. So obviously, there's a large batch of people from my school that are also very ambitious, and I think that environment really propels me to be as ambitious as I can be. It is an all-girls school, and it's a girl-centered educational space, which is amazing. So that sort of environment is what, helps me connect my lived experience as a student with everything else that I do outside of school, specifically surrounding what girls need and how we can advocate for that.
Leanne, and you're not the first student from this incredible school. There is also Yasmin Kakesh, who already told her story on She Can and has really shared invaluable insights as to what your generation feels and how you want to be heard and seen. So give us a little bit of your vision, Leanne. What is the vision for your future and how do you see that unfold?
Wow, that's a very, I think, multifaceted question. I think generally for the things that I'm fighting for, what I want people to realize, specifically in terms of women, is that women were always equal. We're not asking to be equal to our male counterparts. Instead, we're just asking to be recognized as equals. So in my ideal world, it would be a world in which women just got all the opportunities that they deserve, in which women are able to show, their equal talents with everyone else and have those opportunities. But personally, that would also look like continuing my advocacy throughout my life. And it doesn't just stop at maybe when I get to university or when I get a little older. I want it to be a lifelong thing. Not because I necessarily hope it has to be a lifelong thing, but I hope because my voice will always matter to an extent and that I can actually impact people's lives in a good way.
Leanne, I'm wondering how you feel at the moment. You obviously live in Canada. That is still, thankfully, less impacted, but you are a
Yeah.
neighbor to the US. We see an enormous backlash and weaponizing of women and girls because we are part of the DEI programs, even though we are not a minority, we are half of the world's population. And so I wonder what this makes you feel like. And I wonder how you see that fit in with your overall passion of feeling like you want to have a voice, you need to have a voice, and you want to be able to represent people of your generation.
Yeah, it's definitely a very scary time for women and for a lot of people around the world. And like you said, I'm so lucky to be in Canada where, not a lot has changed, but times are changing. What I would say is that I can feel scared and I also feel a little angry. But even in my emotions of anger, what I would like to tell, I guess, the vast majority of people, or even to myself, is that anger might not be the emotion that should catalyze how we respond to things. So yes, I'm very angry that women's rights are being stripped away, that women's choices are being stripped away. But if we were to walk into these discussions of wanting change with anger, I don't think anyone would listen to us. So, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, no matter, what is happening and no matter how much change you want to push for, anger is never the emotion to go and do that because they won't listen to you. And so, what I would say is that in terms of my emotions with what is going on in the US, but also what is going on around the world, we should face things with, I think, calmness, a degree of tranquility, so that people will actually listen to our voices as opposed to being so angry and, so emotional over the things that are occurring. And it's very difficult, really hard, because I think I struggle with that as well. But I think that's vital for making change and ensuring this stops at this point in time.
Yeah, Leanne, I'm very thankful for all your words, and I feel the same way. We have to be very pragmatic and we have to
Yeah.
drive the conversation into a direction where we are solution focused and we show the case for an equitable and inclusive world. And there are many cases. There is the business case. The bottom line of every company looks more lucrative and makes more money for people if we have a diverse workforce. And the list is so long, in the aid world, if we make sure that women get supported there, we are disproportionately raising the next generation. So we are happy women means better future generations. And so all of that is important to talk about. Leanne, how do you want to lead? What kind of a leader do you want to be?
Personally, as I get older, obviously, I want to aspire to become a politician, and that would be within Canada. But as a leader, I think the most important qualities is empathy. So my mother always tells me that I can't be too empathetic, that I can't be too sensitive about things because then I'll be leading with emotion and I'll be too easily swayed, and this is very, very bad. But I actually think inversely. I think empathy is very important for a leader to understand how to deal with situations and how to engage with people. And so obviously there needs to be a degree to how much empathy you're going to give. You don't want to be influenced by your emotions, but I think at the core, I want to be an empathetic leader who can balance empathy with logical decision making to make the best choices for people and to understand people to my greatest capacity.
Leanne, and I'm so grateful you talked about this because I always feel we are humans, so we are driven by emotions. And I'm not saying that's always an easy task, but they have a place in our decision making process. And I always feel that this patriarchal view that women can't show feelings because we educated men this way, that is
Yeah.
not right. And we are able to use these emotions that we have that show us, they literally tell us what we feel is right and what is wrong, and we have to use them. And that's what we're so good at because we've been allowed to have them, right?
Mhm.
And it's time to allow everybody to use them in a decision making process.
Absolutely.
Leanne, so what tips can you give to people of your generation to have the courage, like you do, to step into the ring, to have opinions, to be informed, to use your voice, to lead with that, and be an advocate?
I would tell young people to know that you deserve to be in every room that you walk in, that you deserve to be in that space and to take up that space. Because everyone has things that they like and issues that they care about, but they're too afraid in the sense that they believe their opinions don't matter, or that they don't deserve a seat at the table because they're so young, or because they're new to any industry or to the game. But what I would say is know that even if you're new, even if you're very young, that you deserve to be there because young people are what is going to drive change into the future, and we need diverse opinions and voices. So know that you deserve to be in that space and to take up that space.
Leanne, so when did it dawn on you that you feel that you have to have a voice, you want to have a voice, and that that really matters? Tell us about that moment in your life where you thought, ah, being quiet is not an option.
Ooh, that is a really difficult question. I think I've always been a very loud and opinionated child. I really enjoyed arguing with people. But the pivotal moment, which I realized my voice could matter for something, was I think the moment I started speech and debate. So, my parents put me into this debate program because they thought, oh my God, this is such an argumentative child. Let's make them try this activity. And through that activity, I realized that words can be very compelling, that the language we use can elicit emotions within people, and that would be a very useful tool to not only getting what you want, but also portraying the emotions that you feel and, talking about your emotions and the things that are important to you. And so I think at that point, it was like 12, 13 years old, maybe, I realized that being able to speak and having a voice was very vital for advocating for myself and for other people.
Leanne, I'm so grateful to have you on here for everything that you say, but particularly because there is a lot of data showing that girls between the ages of 13 and 18 lose their confidence, and a lot of data points show us that this is a vulnerable time in a girl's life and young people in general. But as we're talking about girls, that she can, we are quoting that data.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what was the best advice you feel you've ever had in your life?
Wow. The best advice that I feel like I've ever been given, it was this quote. It was, if a bird is on a branch and that branch breaks, do you think the bird has enough trust in itself to not fall? And I guess the underlying message is just that the bird is able to fly and the bird trusts it can fly away if the branch does break. And so have trust in yourself. Have faith that you have the ability to do the things that you believe are right. You have the ability to pursue your dreams and your goals, and they're not too big or too far away. And that you, as an individual, have the capacity to do that. And I think that really changed my life in the sense that it gave me that self-actualization and empowerment in believing that I can do these things because I deserve to.
What a beautiful quote, Leanne. So, give us a little bit of your vision, your plans and goals for the next years of your life.
For the next years of my life, obviously, I have university applications coming up this at the end of this year. And what I would like to do in terms of school is to, obviously go to an institution where it provides the space for young women like me to have a voice, to have opportunities. And what I'm very grateful for is that in Canada, we have a lot of expansive opportunities. Obviously, in the US, times are changing, and that is proving to be a very difficult consideration that I have to be making, whether or not I actually
Mm.
want to pursue an education in the US. So that is still up on the table at this moment in time. But in terms of my co-curriculars and activities, uh, specifically within political campaigning, obviously the Canadian election is coming up very soon. It's coming up March 8th, 9th, for the Liberal leaders, and then we have the big federal election, hopefully. So from that point until the end of the year, I want to be more involved in this process because when we have, like a party turnover potentially within our country, it's going to change the playing field for a lot of young people, specifically for young girls, if the Conservative Party in Canada does come to power. And so I want to help young girls navigate that process if that does happen. And perhaps I would look like using my platform to further educate people about what this party is doing, how it impacts young girls, and what we can do to counter that.
Leanne, I'm so thankful for you and for the work you do because I feel that a lot of young people are overwhelmed by the messages. And these are complex messages. And you seem to be able to make sound bites out of it, to bring it down to digestible, smaller pieces that are understandable so young people actually know what all of this means, what are your choices. You help people get informed choices, and you make sure that you put your voice out there for what you think is right, and you paint pictures or different pictures of what different outcomes would come to. And that's invaluable at this, at this point in our sort of, lifetime or in the world. So, Leanne, what would you like people to take away from your story?
I think from my story, there are two key points that people can take. One is that everyone can do it, or anyone can do it, really. If you believe in yourself, if you have dreams and aspirations, that you can be the person to create that change. No person is too small. I think it all starts from somewhere. And obviously, I'm still in the process of building myself and my image and my platform, but it started from a very small thing. It was genuinely something I cared about. I created accounts on social media to just promote the causes I believed in, and it's grown to something far bigger than that I never really thought could happen. But the second is, like I said prior, that you should deserve, or you should understand that you deserve to be in every room that you walk in, that you can take up that space, because people are so afraid of taking up that space and thinking that they're taking away from other people. But no, you deserve to be there and your voice deserves to be heard. And that is your right and your ability to do that. And so if people can understand that not only they deserve to be the one to create the change, but also that they can create change, I think that is a perfect equation for ambitious people to succeed.
Yeah, beautiful. You're so eloquent, Leanne, and you said that so beautifully.
Thank you.
What if you could send a postcard to every person in the world with one sentence? What would you write on that postcard?
Wow, these are some very good questions. I would probably write, the world is far bigger than you think to know it. Because what a lot of people are stuck in is not only this echo chamber of beliefs that they hear in their lives, but also they're restricted to their lived experience. So specifically in, more developed countries, in the US and in Canada, a lot of people are very ignorant to the issues that happen outside of their borders, outside, across oceans. So a term that I like to champion is that feminism doesn't stop at Western borders. Because a lot of feminists within, the global north tend to forget that there are women on the other side of the world. And so if I had this postcard, I would hope that it would reach everybody and that everyone would realize they don't live just within a world that is unique to them. They live in a world that exists for everybody else. And so any change we can make that is better for any other people across the globe is meaningful change and is necessary change.
Leanne, I could not have found better words. I think this is a beautiful way to finish your story and your insights. And I'm so thankful for you, for what you represent, for your eloquence, your big vision, for being able to break things down into manageable pieces, for representing your generation, and for most importantly, taking up the space that is your birthright.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was such a fun experience, and I really enjoyed having this platform to be able to, reach your audience and also sort of solidify my beliefs and expand my experience. So I'm so thankful for that as well.